Children like the stars. As year after year went by, Abram began to wonder just what God had in mind for him. He had left Ur and Haran when God had told him to. Now he lived in the land of Canaan. He had been there for a long time. What next? He remembered that God had told him, "I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted." What did God mean by children like the dust when he still had no child? True, he had lots of servants, and they had many children. He had thousands of animals, and more were born all the time. He was getting richer and richer in gold and goods, but was this what God meant? One day God said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward." It was a beautiful promise, but it did not answer the questions that had been growing in Abram's mind. "O sovereign Lord," he said, "what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus?" Since Abram had no son of his own, when he died, all his property would go to his head servant. God's answer sounded almost indignant. "This man will not be your heir, not Eliezer, not this man from Damascus." "Then who?" asked Abram. "Your own child," said God. Since it was night, God led Abram outside into the darkness. "Look up at the heavens," he said, "and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, so shall your offspring be." Abram looked. Above him he saw all the twinkling pinpoints in the sky, each one a flaming sun far away in God's vast universe. Perhaps he started to count them, then realized he could never do it. Not if he tried all night. As many children as the stars? Thousands upon thousands of children. How could it be? How could he ever have that many children when he still had no child of his own? It seemed impossible. Abram believed the Lord anyway, and the Lord credited it to him as righteousness. Then God said, "I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to take possession of it." "How shall I know?" asked Abram, longing for some stronger evidence that this would really happen. God then gave him a sign to put his old heart at rest. He made a covenant, a very special kind of promise with Abram, and he did it in the same way many other people made promises in those days. God told Abram to kill a heifer, a goat, a ram, a dove, and a pigeon, and to divide each of them in half, except for the birds. Then Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Soon he heard God's voice telling him about things that would happen in the future. God explained that Abram would have children. He promised that no matter what suffering they might have, God would always watch over them and would fulfill every promise he had made about them. When the sun had set and the darkness had fallen, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. This light symbolized the presence of God. By moving back and forth between those pieces of animals, God was saying, "What I told you about your future is true. If it doesn't happen just the way I said it would, I should be cut up like these animals." How God tries to help us understand. He used this very ancient way of making a promise to help Abram be very sure, deep down in his heart, that God loved him. Abram could count on God to keep his word.